The policy insinuates if you have transitioned by the age of 12, then you can compete with the women.
And what does that end up doing?
Incentivizing parents to transition their kids younger.
This is Riley Gaines.
Okay, the swimmer.
Is a swimmer who, you know who she is?
I do, actually. Because of, what's his face, her face, them, they, them.
Leah Thomas, right. So that's what she's talking about. This is about, she's talking about, that's exactly what she's talking about, actually. So we're just going to start, and then we're going to start, we'll pause it when we have things to say, etc. I only watched the first 1 minute of this, and I stopped it, and I'm like, oh, we got to do a video on this.
Okay, and this is from...
Or a podcast, as it were.
This is her on Joe Rogan?
This is her on Rogan yesterday.
Okay.
To be responsible. They don't want to be accountable for this. So what they're doing now is a phase.
Hey, Gabrielle, do you know who it is? Yes, I do. Oh, okay, well then let's just assume that everyone who's listening for sure knows who she is. Okay, so Riley Gaines. Riley Gaines is was a collegiate swimmer who was I'm not sure she was on Leah Thomas's team.
Yes, she was.
Okay, so she was one of the teammates that was forced to pretend like it was totally normal to have a 6'5" dude with an intact hard-on, naked in their locker room saying, yeah, I'm a girl. And so go ahead and take your pants off in front of me and don't mind me. I'm just changing.
I'm going to go dominate you in the pool.
No, yeah. They're like, you are slowly massaging the head of your penis. He's like, I'm changing into my suit. It's a lady penis. That actually, that actually happened, that they actually, per reports that I read, they complained because depending on the platform that we're on, Leah had an erect hard-on in the locker room, and one of these girls, probably Riley, complained to this school, and they ended up calling transphobic or something. You're like, I think you fucking weirdos have lost the plot. All right, let's watch this thing and let's talk about it.
Of course, right? They don't want to be responsible. They don't want to be accountable for this. So what they're doing now is a phase-out approach of this policy and leaving it up to each specific sport governing body to make their own rules, right? So now for swimming, they would resort to looking at World Aquatics or FINA, which is the international governing body. For soccer, they'd look at FIFA. For rowing, they'd look at U.S. rowing. They don't want a blanket policy anymore. And again, they don't want to be responsible or...
I assume they're talking about the NCAA.
...accountable.
So they're leaving it up to the governing bodies, and what decision have the governing bodies made?
Some have taken appropriate steps. I don't know of many sports that have been perfect, but swimming, for example, their policy now is if you've gone through male puberty, you can't compete with women, which they were really the first ones to take that bold first step in prioritizing fairness over inclusion. But the policy insinuates if you have transitioned by the age of 12, then you can compete with the women.
And what does that end up doing?
Incentivizing parents to transition their kids younger.
And what did Jesse on Fire comment?
No idea.
Right there. The pre-puberty rule also incentivizes prior to puberty.
Which is
children.
Horrifying because all the statistics show that if you let these kids go through puberty, lots of them they realize that they actually are the gender that they were born with and that it was some psychological thing going on.
Exactly.
That is really, really scary.
It's insane. So that's exactly where I paused it, wrote that comment, and it was like, oh my God, Gabrielle, and I got to do this. So I haven't seen nothing after this.
Which is not satisfactory. Even taking puberty blockers before the age of 12, there are still advantages that males possess over female.
By the way, new study came out on this that I heard about yesterday, which is showing no medical claims. I am saying that I heard this on another channel. I don't know for 100% sure that this is accurate, but on a very credible channel, I believe I saw this on Matt Walsh's channel, that there are studies now coming out that people who are taking opposite sex hormones are seeing liver cancer, colon cancer.
Shocking.
Yeah. So
shocking that a biologically male body wouldn't do well with a lot of estrogen or vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
It's a girl's body, and you're loading it up with
groundbreaking. Oh my God.
Who could have thought that the body would potentially not react well to that?
And even if they didn't, it's the women's category. Yeah. It's not for men. So. And then you have other sports that have gone the total opposite way, like soccer, for example. that leave it up to, self-identification. Basically,
brother.
you just compete where you feel best.
Oh, let me ask you a quick question on this, Gabrielle.
I really like her. Just
she's awesome.
for the record, real fast, like she is super, super brave. Like this is not an easy thing to do, and I'm crazy proud of this woman.
Me too. And it's worked out for her. Bravery is being paid off because now she is going to get to write books and travel around, and she's on Joe Rogan and all that. But here's the thing.
And she's causing change, which is amazing.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, Gabrielle. This is obviously an infuriating topic for people.
Being the parents of 3 daughters, extra infuriating for us. But go ahead.
That's what I was going to say. So what about this issue makes you the most angry? Because
honestly, all of it. I number one, having the girls exposed in that way or feel vulnerable in that way in the locker room is appalling. And
if that happened,
that's one thing.
Yeah, that happened. That's a whole ball of wax.
And that's one thing that's its own thing. But having daughters who are athletes, for example, Giselle is 11, and the current ruling or whatever in IBJJF in jiu-jitsu is that they compete in the same category, boys and girls, until I think it's the age of 14.
No. To be very clear, that's only in certain, like IBJJF, they would never compete against boys. World Jiu-Jitsu League, they would never compete against boys. It's only in NAGA and Grappling Industries.
Okay.
Those are the tournaments. And
I stand corrected. But let me really quickly just to further that, she just had a competition, and it was Grappling Industries, where she was with boys. She is very, very good at jiu-jitsu, very skilled.
She beats 50% of the boys.
Who are not as good at jiu-jitsu as her. But if you put her, which has happened, you put her on the mat against a boy who is equal skill level, the boy is going to win every time. And it's starting to be very, very apparent right now at age 11 that the boys are simply faster and stronger and have greater upper body strength than the girls. And that's purely biological. And seeing that happen with her right now, like, imagine that she takes this thing to the moon, which she's capable of. She is that good. Like, she gets to the top, and she's literally like the best girl in the world. But then you have this guy that's like, I identify as a girl. And you've had this female who's worked her entire life, like honed her skill, like literally dedicated her life to this, and then you have this boy that comes and identifies as a girl and just wins
and
every single time.
She gets silver every
single time
because inclusivity.
Like, there's a reason why we separate the boys and the girls. We are different. Like,
do you want to know what pisses me off most about the conversation is listening to that, because you're 100% right, obviously. The fact that we have to even have this conversation is insanity. Infuriating to me. It's like, don't make me defend the fact that fucking gravity exists at an institutional level. You know, it's like there, as a matter of fact, there is like, you'd be like better off trying to convince me that gravity is a myth than that this makes sense to have boys just say they're girls and then compete against girls. It's like one of these things that every person on earth can see. Every person who's 5 years old knows the difference between a boy and a girl, and they're trying to muddy the waters for like inclusive whatever. It's like, if you want me to call you a girl because you feel like you're a girl, you want to dress like a girl,
whatever.
Fine.
Don't care. You just don't get to play sports.
Fine. But you don't get to tell me that I have to call you a zickety-doo, and you don't get to beat the shit out of my daughter in whatever sport. Like, I'm sorry, if you want to be trans,
you give up sports.
It's not a choice. Okay, that's fine. Well, guess what? If you got in a car accident and your leg got amputated, you also wouldn't be able to run track either. Like, life's not fucking fair. You're not like guaranteed the ability to compete in anything you want, whatever. It's like, oh, you were born trans, so you were born trans, right? Okay. Well, tough fucking roll of the dice, dude. You've got a choice. You know, you're 17 years old. You can either continue to compete as a boy and then transition whenever, you know, swimming becomes not as high of a priority as you living your fucking authentic self, or you can start living your authentic self and you can fuck off on swimming, or you can swim against the fucking boys when you're, you know, while you're taking estrogen. But what you don't get to do is just go beat the shit out of the girls with your fucking erect dick in the locker room and tell everybody they're transphobic if they've got a problem with it. It's like, get the fuck out of here with that.
Agreed.
And there's no conversation here. It's so fucking stupid. Now, in defense of jiu-jitsu, I will say this. There is no scenario that would ever happen in jiu-jitsu ever. Like they would get like someone who's coming in and advocating, we need to let the fucking trans people, going into girls. They would get run the fuck out of jiu-jitsu in 1 second because everybody's based in jiu-jitsu. But in terms of grappling industries and Naga, I don't have any issue with it because everyone knows that that's the rule and we opt in. Sure. Like it's the same as like Giselle, like sparring against a boy at school. It's like,
we just accept that she's probably not going to be taking gold that day. Like,
yeah, I mean, yeah.
But
yeah,
the thing that pisses me off the most about it again is that once again, society or whoever these people are, I don't want to say society because I don't think it's all of society, but the people who are creating these blanket rules or whatever are taking into account the feelings of such a small minority and completely disregarding the rest of the population that makes up 99.9% of the sport or whatever it is. So you're saying this one small subset of people feeling included is so important that we're literally going to fuck over everyone else who has worked their entire life to get to this place and to this moment.
Everyone is competing to win.
Yes.
Leah Thomas is now officially going to win no matter what. So you fucked every other person in the sport. Thanks for hanging out, you guys. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel, ring the bell, and you'll know next time me and my beautiful wife put out more episodes of Play with Matches.